Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. William Mansbach, the director of the BCAT Research Center. I'm here to present the most recent episode in this series, Dear BCAT. In this series, you direct questions to us that you've been thinking about in your work, and we try our best to respond to them in a pretty succinct way. So why don't we go ahead and get started for today. So let's see, this is a question that came in from Deborah, who works in Ohio. Let's see, Deborah writes, I am a director of life enrichment in a large CCRC in Ohio. We have several residents who routinely do word searches as an activity. Do these help in slowing cognitive decline? We would like to provide cognitive exercises that help memory in addition to being fun to do. So I guess the essential question is, do word searches and games like this, do they actually reduce the risk of cognitive decline? Well, it's a very good question. The short answer is maybe. Let's try to get a more detailed answer for Deborah. So for any cognitive exercise to be effective, it has to meet three criteria in particular. And one helps. So the three criteria are that the exercises or the activities themselves should be moderately difficult, and they should be progressively challenging. The brain is very good at learning how to do things, particularly if one has normal cognition or MCI, mild cognitive impairment, and even mild dementia, and in some cases, moderate dementia. So exercises need to be progressively more challenging in order for them to be effective from a cognitive perspective. They should be novel. All that really means is that the exercises themselves are not part of everyday living. Washing your face, brushing your teeth, feeding the dogs, things of that sort. Those are what you do routinely. These have to be different. Third, and this can't be overemphasized, the activities themselves, like word searches, they must recruit the right neurocircuits. So we do activities, we perform behaviors based on the recruitment and the association of a lot of neuron or neuronal groups. These are neurocircuits, so they're really important. If we do them in a novel way, we do them often enough, they're difficult enough, but not impossible, I should add, then we begin to, I think, benefit from neuroplasticity. We actually begin to change how certain neurons are grouped together. Finally, it helps to be fun, for these to be fun. So with that in mind, things like word searches are fun. They're very familiar. There are other ones that are familiar. And so they can be really good to do from a cognitive standpoint if they meet these criteria. So in fact, many of us know, have worked with the BCAT working memory exercise books, the professional edition, the home edition. Many of you have used the brain rehab modules. Those are based on very hard science and are used every day quite widely. They are pretty novel, so they're really unique. Working memory exercises, many of them were designed by our researchers in our center, so they're not replicated in other places, so they're not familiar to most people until they learn how to do them. As opposed to the Brain Sharp exercise book, so this is a little bit different. In Brain Sharp, we use three pretty common activities, so it's very familiar for people, but they are grounded in a foundation of science. So let me just describe them a little bit for you if you're interested in them. There are three different groupings of exercises, should be familiar to residents: word searches, word scrambles, and mazes. Mazes in particular are, from my perspective, really extremely helpful from an executive organizational standpoint, but all of them have value. And I'll try to illustrate why they have value. Because these activities in Brain Sharp, they recruit, they activate certain parts of the brain. It's almost like, if you do all of them, it's like a whole brain workout. So they recruit first and foremost, the prefrontal cortex. So this is in the cortex. It's the front part of the brain, you can think about it as the conductor of the orchestra, the kind of command and control center of the brain, really important. So it's responsible primarily, although not entirely, for complex attention, planning, problem-solving, decision-making, lots of things like that that are essential for everyday living. These brain sharp exercises together recruit activity from the hippocampus. This is not in the cortex, it's in the limbic system. Some people consider that the lower part of the cortex. So this is where memories often get started. We think about them as the ignition key for making memories. So the hippocampus, obviously central to memory. The brain sharp exercises involve the visual cortex because you're looking at them. What's interesting about all this is that visual cortex tends to be well preserved even in dementia relatively late. So it gives people an opportunity to do some of these exercises even if they have moderate stage dementia. And there are specific motor regions that are recruited. So if you think about this, you've got different areas of the brain: cortex, subcortical involvement, you've got memory, you've got vision, you have motoric functioning, you have a lot going on there, and that makes it particularly helpful. So in answer to your question, Deborah, the word searches that you use, they might be very much helpful if they meet that criteria. If you and others are interested in Brain Sharp and how to get access to it, take a look at it, you can just contact us at info@thebcat.com. We invite you to stay connected to us, and there are different ways of doing it through social media, certainly through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So once again, it's my pleasure to be able to spend a few minutes with you today. And I look forward to your participation in the next episode of the series, Dear BCAT. Thanks a lot.